Welcome back, everyone. New School Sensei. I'm the host, Lance Douglas. We got Ken, the Gastro Stop King Douglas. Loves it. And we got Matt Tonkin, Northern MMA. So we're on part two of our Q&A podcast, all the way from the questions from our viewers, aka Mark Zuckerberg, aka the Facebook AI.
Awesome.
So let's get straight into the biscuits and gravy. Let's go. So this question, injury prevention and management. So what's your approach to dealing with injuries in class? How do you prevent them from happening in the first place? And what do you do when someone gets hurt? So this is a good question. We actually had a pretty significant injury the other night. So you won't believe it, Tom. So
Yep.
we it's a hot day. It must have been 38 degrees outside on the mat, 40, 41, 42. For me, I turn the fans off. I'll open up the roller door, but no fans. And we have a very strict heat policy at Twins. Isn't that right, Ken?
That's 100% right. Yeah, we train
So what
harder.
what I always tell the kids, when it's hot, do we train harder or do we take it easy? And obviously the kids are like, yeah, we train harder. So whenever it's hot, I always try to make it the hardest class possible. And the reason why is I need the kids, they need to be able to perform when it's hot. Like at the last grappling industries, I think you were there, Tonks. It was boiling, mate.
Yeah.
It was stifling hot in there. You might be underneath getting smothered in mount. That's gonna be hot. It's gonna be at least, especially get smothered. Big boy, 45 degrees, humid too. A bit of sweat going in the eye. It could be, just happens to be at school getting bullied hot day. So I always tell the kids, we have to be able to train when it's hot. So we start the warm up. I'm getting them going. We got bear crawls. We got duck walking. We got jumping. We got everything. We did our wall bridge. So hands on the ground, legs on the wall. Did a wall sit. Then we moved on to the most dangerous exercise. Can you ever guess what that is, Tonks, for us?
Rotating arms.
It was actually lunges.
Oh, wow.
So we
Okay.
were doing some just lunge pulse. So they bring their feet apart and they go down and up.
Yep.
On the second lunge, one of my students goes, my knee. Turns out he dislocated his kneecap. So
Wow.
his patella dislocated laterally. So I had a look at it. I had a look at the students and I'm like, hey guys, have a drink. I got him to pull up his pant leg. Yeah, the kneecap was nowhere to be seen. I got him to turn the leg over. I wanted to find the kneecap. I'm like, maybe he didn't have a kneecap to start off with.
Whoops.
So he turned it over. It was all the way on the side of his knee. Now, Ken, can you guess what I did next?
Well, you're a physio, so lucky it was you, not me.
Yeah, I guess when I was doing, I remember in physio school, they always told us don't relocate any dislocations. You guys would have seen like with footy players, they'll just straighten the knee and whack it back in. But obviously, I'm not going to do that. And I called up his mum. Mum didn't answer. So I was left with a couple options. So what I went to the Google AI. I typed it in. Do I need to send, someone to the hospital who has a dislocated knee? It says yes, it's a medical emergency. So then from then I called up the ambulance. The only issue was that we didn't move him off the mats. So the ambos took the entire bottom level and they
Yeah.
said we couldn't train on it. So next time I definitely would have moved him into the foyer because yeah, having that bottom level taken up, that was very annoying. But yeah, so for us, something simple like a lunge, it ended up the kid getting a dislocated knee, ended up ambulance being called, ended up the entire bottom level was taken up. The bottom level was out of commission for 2.5 hours. So and to be honest, I don't think I could have prevented that injury.
No.
Like doing something simple like a lunge. So it's one of those things like injuries is part of the game, especially martial arts.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's a crazy one for you boys.
Very
So
crazy.
Tonks, you got any other good ones?
Sure, you've seen
And
a
maybe
lot,
how
man.
would you kind of prevent them in the future?
Well, being the young 25-year-old that I am today, as we understand, when you get to my age, you turn your age around. I do a lot of warm up. So I do a lot. I do my striking warm up. I do my grappling warm up. And people come to me at 18 and go, "Why are you stretching? What are you kicking for?" Do you know what I mean? When it's not a kicking class, I get a lot of little guys saying that. But if I don't warm my hips up, then yeah, the man, everything gets tight. So I do have a ritual warm up that I do every time. Very dynamic ballistic, sort of swinging everything to get the blood flowing and all that sort of stuff. And then always at the end, there's always the passive isometric sort of holding positions when you're nice and warm to hold down. But I always say to the guys, I always give them I say to them, get to class 15 minutes before. You might have a kid with a bad knee, he needs to warm his legs up. You know what I mean? Kenny might have a bad shoulder, you might have a bad neck. You know what I mean? So we try and triage them and get their warm ups. I think it's a must. Like people say, don't stretch, just jump straight into it. But we all know you need to do some form of warming up. We do it in every class. Every class has got a basic warm up. You know what I mean, to prevent the injuries and that sort of stuff. But we have had some classics where we've had people do handstands on the wall. I can do a handstand. They've gone up, land on their head, KO'd themselves, woken up later. We've had guys, be choked out. So first aid, it can be doesn't have to be so much of a dramatic strike. It could be even just a tap out. First aid is very big with us as well. But you're right, it does shut down the whole gym when someone gets injured or hurt or something like that. Even as simple as a blood nose, like a good punch in the face. But we got a motto on the back of on the back of my uniform. It says "Tap before it snaps." That's the Team Tonks motto. Yeah, always tap before it snaps, because if you don't, what's it called? The injuries. That's probably the only. If you want me to keep it to a simple line, tap before it snaps. Do you know what I mean? In anything, if a choke's coming on, tap out. You know what I mean? If the guy's beating up, take a step back, call time. You know what I mean? Like there's no point in backing off and then going back in to prevent an injury. If it's coming into comp rounds, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like you fight to the end, and sometimes you do get injured. You know what I mean? But my motto is tap before it snaps, mate, because we don't want Gastro Boy over here not tapping out today. If in a knee on belly demonstration, which I'll mention to Ninos later.
I'll have to tap
You be in that gi class.
Black gi's required for gi class today.
Yeah, black gi.
I'll be
Okay,
wearing
let's do the next. We'll do the next one.
Yeah.
So I'll put this one to you, Kenny. So classroom management. So what are some strategies for managing a chaotic class or dealing with difficult students? How do you keep everyone safe and focused?
All right. So this is something, it's hard to learn in like one day. It takes experience, yeah? Like just being on the mats, teaching, seeing different things, seeing different students. So that's where I've sort of learnt this from actually being on the mats and teaching. But essentially, if you got a class that's going crazy, for me personally, you need your focus anchors. You need something to just bring everyone back together. I know I've seen people, they do clapping and everyone claps together. For us, the twins, listening positions. So that's something where if we call out a position, like number one, we sit down cross-legged. Number two, we sit up on one knee. That's something that we use, and it just gets the kids to focus, and it becomes a little bit of a competition. As soon as one kid sees someone standing up tall in list position number three, the next kid does it too, and that's how you can regain control. So for me, if I'm starting to lose that control, I'll go back to the listening positions. That's one thing that I do, and one thing that we like to teach the coaches of twins. Second thing is you need to be really strict with the rules. So at the start of the class, especially the kids, we talk about our rules and we talk about what happens if they break the rules. Then essentially, if the kids break the rules, then they get warnings. If they get a certain number of warnings, then they have to sit out for a certain amount of time. And I think where your younger coach or less experienced coach will fall down here is they don't follow their own rules. And especially with kids, if they see any sort of weakness, any little chinks in the armor, they're going to come after you. So you have to nip it in the butt early, and you pretty much, you tell them the rules and you got to follow it. And I think that's what the parents want. Like there's a lot of parents, they send them to us and they want them to be focused. They want them to pay attention, to listen, and that's what we got to do. So that's something that I'm really big on. I guess if you can do those two things, I think the class should be under control. I guess a third thing you can do is something I'm big on teaching our instructors too, is about with the drills that you're doing, actually use a stopwatch or a timer, because sometimes the class is going it's going to be crazy. It's because you're doing the drill for too long and the kids get bored. And when kids get bored, of course they're going to be mucking around. Yeah. So I guess if I was to break it down, those three little tips, that's something I'd do. What's your thoughts, Lance?
Yeah, probably one thing I would add is knowing the kids' names. Say if I've got a group of 20 and if I see Johnny acting up, I would just call him out straight away. I'd be like, maybe I'm explaining, how to do a double leg, and then I go, so Johnny, how do you start the double leg? And he's like, oh, coach just asked me a question.
Mm.
Or maybe, it's a mat chat. We're talking about, self-defense, maybe being aware of your surroundings. I'd be like, maybe Jeff over there's acting up. I'd be like, okay, Jeff, tell me what's one of the pre-contact cues of, someone's going to get a bit violent. So using the kid's name, that can definitely help. If you don't know the kids' names, then you're going to be up. Well, personally, I always remember the names, but you'd be pointing, be like, okay, you stop what you're doing. Hey, you can't describe them. You can't say, tall kid or big kid, or you just got to say you these days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, knowing the name, that's something big that I'm telling all the coaches. Like you gotta learn names, and it is sometimes it can be hard, but I do believe it's a skill you can learn. I know Tonks, you said before you're great with names.
No, I still can't tell you two apart. One's a better grappler. I remember that. One was a bit better than the other one.
Probably Kenny, to be
Kenny.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you'd be able
realised
to.
that.
Well, not today though.
I think when I beat you the first time, Lance, I thought, gee, that was easy. And then Kenny came out and tapped me out. Nah, I'm joking.
So Tonks, because you got a lot of experience. Like, how many years you been on the mats coaching?
30 years. 30
30
years
years. So
next
you'd
year.
see
Yeah.
a lot
No,
of different cohorts coming through.
yeah, I started in 92, but 93. So it's 30 years, 30 plus years I've been on the mats. And I started teaching at yellow belt, like mine, because I had like martial arts experience before that. My coach goes, oh, because I went back to martial arts at 21. So, you know what I mean? So I'd done a lot of things when I was younger. And he goes, oh, you seem to know what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And that sort of stuff. So I helped him out. I was only like a yellow belt, I think. And I used to come and help with the kids' classes. So one thing we've implemented now is we had a lot of teachers going, parents going, oh, why do you keep putting my son out? And I go, well, he's not listening. So we've actually banned parents from the room now. So our room now is matted from end to end. We took all the chairs out of the dojo. I've got a parent area at the back. I've got the cameras up. They can watch their kids train. But I want to watch my kids. And I'm like, that's okay. But we need to cut that umbilical cord with the parents, because every time a kid gets in trouble, looks for mum and dad. And I go, oh, what am I paying you for? I don't pay you to put my kid in the corner and make him do push-ups. I said, okay, point taken. So in striking, if they get punished, they go to the bags and they got to go kick, punch, elbow, knee, until I say stop. Could be a minute, could be 2 minutes. And then the rest of then what I'll do is I'll make the class exciting all of a sudden at the other end. So while the kid's on the bag going, oh, I'm missing out on this, we give him we'll give him a couple of warnings first, like, first warning, second, get on the bag. If it's BJJ, they got to do hip escapes and bear crawls until further notice. You know what I mean? So we punish them within, like, because the parent was actually right. Yeah, I mean, they're paying for a service. Okay, fair enough. The kid's learning, he's young, he makes mistakes and that sort of stuff. So punish him within the system. So if it's BJJ, go do your hip escapes, go do your bear crawls. You know what I mean? Do your bum scoots, shrimping, whatever, up and down the hall in front of everybody, too, so it's embarrassing. Or go and stand on a punching bag and kick it, punch it, elbow and knee it until it hurts. You know what I mean? And then hopefully they're still learning something. In Japanese jiu-jitsu, they got to do their falls: forward roll, backward roll, side roll, flip fall, bang. And you can just hear the kid, boom. And you hear the next time, boom. And you hear the next time, there's no boom, because they're tired and they don't want to do it. So, yeah, I like to punish within the system if they're not paying attention. But the names are very big. Yeah, it's not like you can't go eight. Hey, Gastro Boy, you can't be doing that. You know what I mean? You do have to know their names. And the biggest thing we have in our kids' classes is they talk while you're talking. So I just bring them out the front and I go, can you two come out here and can you demonstrate the move for the class, please? You know what I mean? And most of the time they look at me and they go, what move are we doing? I go, oh, the move I was just teaching 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean? And one of the other guys in our gym is a school teacher. He just does the silent thing. He just stops, puts his hands on his hips and just stares at him and doesn't talk. Just looks at him until everyone stops and he goes, oh, good, now you're back. Now he goes back in. So he does that. He does the silent treatment. I like to, as I said, I like to make him keep training, but like go away from everybody else. And I think constant changing. So don't let the two mates stay together all the time. Every time we finish a technique, we change partners. So now go with the other guy, and then that finish, now go with another partner. So they're always changing partners, get to know each other, of course, and different levels and different abilities and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So that's how I sort of deal with that sort of stuff.
And so you've got the parents out of the dojo.
Yep.
So is that more because you feel like parents these days are a bit more, the more helicopter type parents, or it's just you guys had that idea and just want to test it out?
I think it's they're very opinionated now. Like parents come in and they know what's best for their kids more than you, which is true. That's their children.
Is that more so than say 10, 20 years ago?
100%. Like back in the day when we back when I first opened the gym, you said, "Get out, give me some push-ups." Blah blah. You could scream at the kids, you could push them around, and parents would be in the background going, "Yeah, like teach my kid discipline." Nowadays, you go up and you put your hand on the kid, and the parent will go, "Hey, you touched my child." Okay. Um, we're doing grappling, you know what I mean, or like and things like that. So they're very opinionated, and they like to protect their children. Do you know what I mean? We all want to protect our children, but I'm a big believer in. I always say to my kids, listen to your coach, and do what your coach says, whether it's right or wrong, and then we'll deal with it after. So if I've got a problem with, say, my son playing basketball, I'll go to the coach after the session and just say, hey, you're ripping into my kid because he wasn't doing something. Is there either way of improving it, or why were you doing that for? But I won't single it out in a class or in a session. You know what I mean? So parents, I'm always like, parents, I got 5 minutes between class. Come and talk to me then. Don't be like pointing at me during the class, going, you come here. I need to have a chat with you because little Johnny's crying over there, and he shouldn't be crying. And in our gym, probably 90% of our parents are on board with that. They sit outside. They watch the screens. Don't get me wrong, gradings, they're on the mats. We sit them down, you know what I mean? If a child goes down hard, you know what I mean, I might say to my assistant, go get the mum. You know what I mean? Pick them up. Hey, okay, wipe the tears off. What happened? Explain what happened. You know what I mean? We're still human. You know what I mean? Like I've got an 11-year-old daughter. I don't like seeing her cry. So when I see a young kid crying, it doesn't sit well with me either. But we're trying to teach them that that ability. I call it I don't know if sorry to drag on like we say, but I call it the 3 umbilical cord syndrome. When we've got kids, the first thing you do is you cut that umbilical cord, you take that child home. Then they bring them to the martial arts one. We cut that umbilical cord again because we want to start sending them out in the big wide world. And then the final one that I'm getting to with a couple of my kids, we cut it for the last time and we kick them out of the house. You know what I mean? And they go and live their lives. You know what I mean? That's my syndrome,
Mate, these days, I'm hearing people staying home till they're in their 30s. It's like, it's wild.
I wish I had of. I would have saved so much money, you know what I mean? Yeah, but I think they will these days. I think kids will stay home a lot longer now. You know what I mean? Because the parents have got to cut that umbilical cord and let them go out and make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. And same at training. Okay, you didn't get your belt. How many times do we fail kids in gradings these days? We don't. We don't fail them as much as we do. Like I failed a grading when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? It was devastating. But so but I think as us as coaches, we prepare our kids a lot better now to not fail, which I think is a good thing as well too. Yeah.
It is. I guess it is a different time these days. We got the security footage, and whenever an incident happens, I stopped explaining it because the parents, to be honest, they straight up, which I can understand being a parent now, just won't believe you. So I just show them the video footage.
Yeah.
Bang. And I always say video, no lie. So
Yeah, 100%.
it's just black and white. I just show them video footage.
Yeah,
Because
very
I
true.
remember, like, back in the day, like, trying to explain a situation and parent defend their kid, like, yeah, my kid, he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't do that. And then you just show up nowadays, you show them the footage, video, no lie, and then we just get on with it.
Yep.
Like it. Hey Lance, I think something cool that you could probably discuss is obviously you got kids with special needs. Do you want to talk about what we do at Twins? Sort of help
Yeah,
out
yeah.
the other coaches and stuff.
Yeah, so we have, because I've got the physio background, I work mainly with the NDIS kids.
Yep.
So for people that don't know, so the National Disability Insurance Scheme. So essentially, the Australian government, if you meet the criteria, if you're significantly disabled from one condition or many conditions, the government will pay for you to play sport or do physio. So if they have that funding, they can have one-on-one physio with me, and it's paid by the government. So essentially, if a kid's got ASD, he's running amok, they'll get handballed straight to me, and then I'll help them out and help them participate in sport. But the problem is now a lot of the funding's getting cut, which is
Right.
that can happen. I think I heard a stat. It was like I think most of the Australian budget is towards NDIS. So I guess something's got to give. So there's less funding. So next thing we'll do is we talk to the parent and get some tips from them. Like, what strategies do you find help with John? Does he have any meltdown triggers? Um, what type of things does he need in the class? What things does he don't, absolute knows. So getting that feedback from the parent will give you a leg up. And then obviously, when you put a diverse needs kid in a class, you're probably not going to put them in your busiest, most chaotic class. You're going to try and put them in a smaller class. But then you still sometimes have the issue. Maybe the coach, he's got a class of 10, but he's giving 70% of his time to one student, which can obviously diverse needs kids need more attention, more time, more focus. But if it's in a group class situation, then it's a bit hard. So then obviously then we would try to get them to have some sort of social worker in the class, or maybe the parent has to come in and help.
Leadership
Because
team,
as a
maybe.
coach, leadership team, yeah, you get it. You wouldn't want a paid assistant to help them because essentially they're getting a one-on-one private, which is probably what they need. But logistically in a class, like say if Sarah over there, she's paying her dues, she's paying $25 a week. Jeff here is paying $25 a week, but he's getting one-on-ones from, Jake, the assistant coach, and he's getting 70% of the attention from the main coach. It's a bit hard.
Mm.
So that's where, yeah, obviously you should cater your classes for diverse needs kids. End of the day, though, you have to put a cap on it. Realistically, like Tonks, do you reckon you could run a class of 10, 15 ASD kids?
Most of my club is that.
Maybe I'm gonna start sending them to you then.
Isn't
But
it
for
the
us, yeah,
dominant
we
power
cap it.
though? If you want to be good at like grappling,
You know something? I'm not a doctor and I'm not a professional in this, but what I've found by dealing with kids, I've got a lot of I get a lot of requests for that as well. Can you write a letter so my kid can train you? Yep, no problem. If I can, but I explain to the parents, I say to them, this might not be the right sport for you. So I had a kid years ago. His dad was also an assistant instructor at our gym, and he would spend 90% of the time grabbing his kid and just yelling at his kid inside the gym. And then we just happened, my oldest son and his son played football against each other. And I looked on the football ground. I went to his dad. What are you doing? Pull him out of martial arts and spend all the money on football. He was an amazing football player. He was not a good martial artist. So I always say to the parents, please try us. We might not be the problem solver, but martial arts, I think, is a big mental health strength thing, like it can help with that. But we get a lot of them come in and then, oh, my son's got ADHD or my son's got autism. That's fine. Oh, you don't care? No, I don't care. I treat kids equally. But this might not be the martial arts club for him if it's martial arts he wants to do. And again, talk to the kid. Do you want to do this? Yes. I want to be a kickboxer. Great. Put him into a striking class. And then I'll try and put him with someone that's better than him but can teach. Like we have a lot of our kids where we say, like the mentor program, like Kenny was saying before, like we'll say, okay, you guys are our hierarchy. You need to bring the lower kids up into that. So help them as much as you can. But then if it's not working, we always say to the parents, I don't know if it's working. Maybe this is not the right style. Let's try a different style first. We don't want to lose the student, or can we advise something different? You know what I mean? Because all the one-on-ones. I think the one-on-ones are big. Like we always do a one-on-one with them first to get to meet and greet them. And sometimes you find they really don't have a problem. They're just nervous or something like that. But you've probably seen them, Lancelot. They've got some kids out there, and you're like, I don't think I can help them. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to like push them away if it's not like they don't like their heads down, they're not punching the bags or they're not doing anything, and you're trying and trying and trying. It doesn't seem to come through. I don't know. Have you dealt with that where you have to
100%. Because I would say the ASD kids that do really well with martial arts, they're probably level 1. So
Yep.
just got, some social things, maybe self-regulation, kind of,
Hmm.
yeah, just little things. Once they get level 2, level 3, then, they really need, probably one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And with some parents, a lot of the times they'll send their kid in just to try.
Yeah.
I actually think that's not a good thing, just to try a class. Because I'm
Yeah.
thinking about the coach. Like if you send in a kid, he's got ASD level 2, it's like sending in a knife in a class. Like
Hmm.
something bad's gonna happen. Like if you
100%.
especially got an inexperienced coach and you send him into a big class, Like, and this kid doesn't like loud noises, and you didn't flag it. A couple of KIs and meltdown city, and then some of the meltdowns are catastrophic. Like, and sometimes
Yeah,
the kids are hard to get them off the mat. Like,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, sometimes
yeah,
the meltdowns be violent.
100%.
So I'm on the opinion, if you know your kid is gonna have, some challenges, do a one-on-one first. Don't just throw them into a group class and not
Yeah.
flag it.
We try to get them into the class environment because that's what the parent wants. If the parent says, I can't afford or I don't want to do one-on-ones, I want to do a class base. Then I had one example where a lady says, "Oh, my son's medicated ADHD. He's got blah 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 like that." I said, "I'll make a deal with you." And she goes, "What's that?" I said, "I have a couple of kids in my class today that have ADHD. If you can pick them by the end of the class, I'll give you a 3-month training." So I put the 2 kids that had ADHD with those 2 kids, and she picked 3 other kids. She didn't even realize that the 2 kids that were with her kids had that, had some issues, but they'd found the right sport to sort of hone and sort of comfort them in them. Like, I'm not saying that we're the best and you're the best, whatever, but, and I've actually said to kids, like, I don't think this is the right sport for you, you know what I mean? And things like that. So like some kids need teams. They need to be around a group of people, like you're saying, where other kids need that one-on-one, like a game of chess or a PT one-on-one. They can't do 3 or 4 people in the room, So I think the challenge we have as coaches is to just knuckle that out early and get them in there. And like, I try to get them into the class environment, but if it doesn't work, let's pull them back and go to one-on-ones. And then, maybe do one-on-one and then bring one of those kids into that one-on-one. Oh, that's not so bad now. You know what I mean? And then because I reckon every kid can be fixed. You know what I mean? I reckon every adult can be fixed. We just got to find the right, solution. And it might not be my gym, you know what I mean? Like, I might sit there and say, hey, my gym's not doing very well with this kid. And Lance and, Kenny, you guys are just down the road. Have you tried, like, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu only and you guys do karate only. Have you tried karate? And send them down the road to the karate gym or something like that. Because some kids have that idea in their head that they want to be, I want to be an MMA fighter. Okay, cool. Like, do you want to be a striker, a grappler? What? I don't know. Like, and then you find that grappling's it's too claustrophobic, or karate's too much impact. You know what I mean? So we just got to keep working and find that right. It's not like a band-aid. It's like the right, like a medicine. You know what I mean? Like our like, without medicating them. You know what I mean? With a medicine. You know what I mean? I don't know. Is that the right sort of answer?
Martial arts could almost be like a tool. Just got to find the right
Yeah,
tool for the job, to be
yeah.
honest.
Find which one out of that. Open the drawer and go, we need to use which tool? Yeah, that's
Sometimes the tool has to change too. Job
yeah.
changes.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts, Kenny? Because you're on the tools quite a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, not this week. You've had how many sick days?
I called in sick yesterday. I'm calling in sick today. 2 days, bro.
Jeez. And you had the day off on Monday.
Wow.
It was a public holiday, bro.
What, you didn't train?
That's when he got the gastro.
Yeah, probably.
Bicep curls.
Probably, to be honest. It is a tricky sort of topic if you're talking about kids with special needs. It's just with experience. I think with everything, yeah. Like, it's like when you first start out, you make a lot of mistakes, yeah. But then with experience, you make less mistakes. So I think it's just over time. Just, you're just getting the reps in, teaching lots of classes. I think definitely helps if you have support in the class. So if you got a leadership team, I know that's something for us at Twins. We talked about this on the potty a lot. Like, I think if you're going into a class, it's good to look at your role. Like most clubs, for each class, you should know who is going to be attending. You got your role, you got all the kids' names, all their photos. So okay, I've got Johnny, Jake, and Jim. And on their profiles, there's a big tick. It says, they've got special needs. Okay, so you can game plan. You go, okay, cool. Who do I usually have? I've got, okay, it's Monday, 4:30 class. Finn should be coming in. So maybe I'll do some drills and Finn can look after him. Okay, so that's something that I'd probably look at first. Then obviously, if you're a bigger club and you've got assistants who are paid, then that could be their job to be helping out with that. So for me, definitely having that support. But then if you don't have your leadership, you don't have any paid assistants, you need your senior students. But senior student, it doesn't have to mean brown or black belt. So if you have like a beginner class, a senior student could be like, the last rank in that class, an older kid, you know? So
Mm.
for me, it's all about having support in the class. That's essentially how. And also something that like I might do is if you got another class, so just say you got 4:30 class, it goes for half an hour. You got a 5 o'clock class starting. You got a kid waiting for their class. You might pull them in too. I always do that, ain't that right, Lance? Yeah. I'm more
Always
than
pulling
happy
in
to
kids
pull
from
a
the
kid.
foyer.
I'm more than happy to pull a kid off their phone. They're waiting in the lobby. Come and help me out, bro. Yeah, Lance.
You
You need to.
have to. Yep.
Especially, I feel like as you get older, you don't have the energy of someone's
Boy,
25. Ain't that right, Tom? So you can't be running around fighting every single fire on the mats. So I think as I get older, I need more help on the mats,
get lazier and
Especially you got a
lazier, less
tall gut
energy.
like me. I can barely stand.
Mate, you got another kid on the way too, man. So you're already fighting fires at home. And then you got to fight
That's it.
fires on the mat.
That's it,
And then
man.
the
You're lacking
toilet
sleep,
afterwards.
especially. So I think it's all about getting that support, you
Yeah,
know?
100%. That's
Yep.
crazy.
Let's do the last question from our AI. So teaching assistants and junior instructors. How do you train and mentor your assistant instructors or junior leaders? What qualities do you look for in someone who's going to help teach your classes? So I'll put that to you, Ken. What are you doing? You're always looking
Thank
for
you.
support. So how you teaching the assistants?
So this question's got two parts. So how do you train and mentor your assistant instructors or junior leaders? So in terms of training them up, if it's a paid instructor, so if it's someone an assistant or they're going to be a head instructor for us, what we usually do is we get them to shadow us. So usually I'll be leading the class and I'll have them with me. And then during the drills, I might just ask them a question and I'll just sort of explain the process like that. So we start with shadowing and I'll ask them a lot of questions and I sort of explain all the things I'm doing. Then at the end of the class, I go to them, what are 3 things you really liked about my class? And it usually makes them think. And then usually we get them to shadow a few classes and we get them to take a few sections of the class and then we can provide feedback. And then over time, with experience, with the training, they should be able to run full classes. And then we can sit back, we can watch the full class, and then we can give them feedback on that. So that's how I do that for the paid instructors. If you're talking about junior leaders, we have a very detailed system. So Lance is in charge of that system. Do you want to just quickly run through that, Lance? The leadership
Yeah,
program that we
so
have?
our leadership program. So essentially, kids will start when they're 11 years old. So we pick our kids who were a little bit higher in rank, but also more importantly, really focused and do well in class. So we can't choose kids that are bullies or muck around in class. So leadership program, they get every week they get a little task, and that's something for them to do in the class in a separate class to help out another student. So the example might be on their card, it might be give out 5 high fives, and then we'd explain to them like why are high fiving kids, especially younger kids, and then hopefully they'll say, we're trying to give them some positive encouragement, and then we're trying to help them perform better. So little tasks like that, it starts pretty basic, high fives. It might be remember 3 names. Then it builds to, running a warm up, running the pad work, running the meditation. So it just builds up more and more. And then to give them that added challenge, it'd be doing their task with bigger groups of kids. So it might be a group of 10, might be a group of 20, group of 30, could be in a grading. So in a grading, you've got 50 on the mats and then you've got 100 parents. And then they're getting that public speaking experience, things they probably wouldn't get at school, and then things that look good if they're going to apply for a job. So they might apply to Macca's, they put on their job interview, the resume. Hopefully they apply to us though. We always tell the kids, give us the resume before you give it to Macca's. Yep. So and then we get a lot of our paid instructors from our leadership team because they've already done their apprenticeship essentially from 11 years old. Once they hit 15, 16, they've done the apprenticeship and they're ready to run classes.
Mm.
And we're finding, I know when I started with teaching the assistants, like I'd be very strict with them, like you have to do this, 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 and this. Nowadays, I'm the complete opposite. They can pretty much do whatever they want as long as they can tell me why. So I always ask them, why'd you do that? Why'd you do this? It could be normally when I get kids to to do their meditation, I put them on dots, and then they'll do their meditation on the dots. But another coach might not use the dots, and I'll ask him, how come you didn't use the dots? And he could say, they're already lined up perfectly anyway. I was like, yeah, fair enough. Or they'll say, I've got them under control. I'll be like, yeah, fair enough. So it is good. Nowadays, we're a bit more flexible. We used to be very rigid, and a lot of the coaches would turn out essentially like clones of Ken and I. They'd have the same jokes, same, mannerisms. But nowadays, they're completely different, which is awesome, which is what we need.
Yeah, Lance, it's almost like you're using the CLA system.
Strengths-led approach.
Yeah.
You heard of that, Tonks?
No, I haven't. No.
Oi. It's you probably doing already, but essentially you put a constraint and then the students, or for us the coach, do whatever they can to reach the desired outcome. So maybe for one of the constraints we have for warm up, so we've got the constraint is quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
So if I watch a warm up and we get the video footage and I have a look, they're doing push ups, and I go to the coach, okay, is that quality or quantity? We're looking at it. None of the kids can do a push up. They'll say quantity. And I'll tell them, okay, how would you make it more quality next time? And they might say something like, might start at the bottom and then just push up the concentric phase. We might do just a slow lower 10 seconds. Might just do a hold for 10 seconds. Might do it on a box. So essentially, yeah, we put the constraint out there, and then the coach has to problem solve to meet the outcome. And that's essentially constraints-led approach.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty much the reverse of what we used to do, because we used to have these very
100%.
strict lesson plans for the coaches. Like, you need to do X, Y, Z, needs to go for this much time, blah, blah, blah. I think that's too old school. I think now the way we're doing it is like the new school way. We're using the constraints-led approach to our actual class plans and lesson plans. And it's working really good. It's keeping things fresh, ain't that right, Lance?
Oh, it's good because the coach, you should trust your coaches to be able to problem solve and game plan. Like, they have a lesson plan, but that's just plan A. Like, when something changes, they got to go plan B, plan C. So it's like in a fight, like you have an initial plan, but if you make a read, maybe you're doing low kicks and he's dropping his hands. Okay, I'm going to fake a low kick and go high. Or maybe, you're snapping that head down in grappling. He's posturing up hard. Okay, I might snap as he postures. I'm shooting that double leg hard. So same thing, coaches, like giving them that flexibility to make a read and then, do what they need to do. Yeah, 100%.
That's cool.
So Tonks, how are you training up your coaches?
So the first thing I look for with my guys is an approachable attitude. So they've got to have that to start with. If they can't be approached by the students, like if the student's too scared to actually even go up and say, hey, sensei, or hey, coach, or that's already a one no. You know what I mean? So approachable attitude is good. So they've got to be, pretty mingling with the boys and the girls.
I might be out of the job then. Yep. Students don't approach me. They're scared of me.
That's it. And initiative's huge with us. You know what I mean? Like, I've got one guy now. He's in year 7. He's helping me assist with the kids. So I'll be late to class. So he has to learn some initiative, and he's a little bit, like, can I do this or should I do that? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? So I started with, okay, 4:30, they need to be lined up. So when I walk in on the mats, they're done. So that was the first stage. I got him to start the class. Hey guys, it's 4:30. Show some initiative. So instead of me screaming up, line up. He's already got them lined up. And then I might be late. I look at him, I'll go, just start the class. So he has to go at the front, bow them in. Now what do I do? Do you know what I mean? And so he'll go, all right, warm-ups. And he knows that if he ever gets into a stage of like he's having excuse my French, a brain fart where he can't remember what to do, just go straight to your basics. Always your basics will get you through 5 or so minutes, and then you can sort of go, yeah? And then, so I've even done it now where I just let him go, and he goes, can I do this? And I said, I don't want to hear this anymore. I want to hear you say, well, all right, I know the criteria for the week we're working on. We've got gradings at the end of the week. So gradings are a must. So let's get our warm-ups in, our basics done, and then let's get into grading stuff. And that could take 15 or 20 minutes. I could be stuck with a parent in the foyer that needs to speak to me. So that's where he's got to use his own initiative, in other words, and go out there. And then we always do the Q&A after, like, how'd you go today? Oh, yeah, and they get a little bit nervous, you know what I mean? Or, hey, can you spend a little bit more time with, like you're saying, don't spend 70% with Johnny, spend, a little bit more time with the new students. I'm big on every time new students join the gym, I'm taking them first time. it's always me. You know what I mean? Even if there's a grade the next day, guys, keep doing your stuff. I need to work with these guys today and get the new guys very, very comfortable. And then during that, I'll bring in my assistants and say, okay, can you take X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 and then keep it moving. And then I might branch away. They get to know the assistant instructors a bit. And then the moment I'm finished that, I'm out with the parents again. How do you think that went? Good. And then back to the instructors and say, okay, the feedback I got was, you weren't paying attention to them. You're sitting on the floor. You're yelling at them from across the room. You know what I mean? Like if the kid's 4 foot tall, I always take a knee so I'm eye level with the child. You know what I mean? Same with the assistants. Some of my assistant instructors are small. Some of them are 6'6". I've got to get the box out and get the thing. But you're right. I think to me, it's always been approachable attitude, like how I come across, how they come across, initiative on how you can just improvise. And you're right. And it goes back to all the other questions. If it's getting stale or it's getting boring, how do they improve it? You know what I mean? And that's how we talk in the class. Yeah. But never singled out. I'll never scream across the room. Hey, Kenny, I know you got gastro, man, but pick up your socks. You know what I mean? It's not, you won't get any of that from me, Yeah, I'll get within a safe barrier from you so I don't get any diseases, from you at the moment, and say, hey, maybe we should try this, you know what I mean? Or something like that, Or that person, that's not working. You lost control of those 3 kids. Get them doing a group thing maybe, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Yeah, so it is, and every instructor's different. It can't be identical. And I don't want my instructors to be the same because then it's just me teaching. Yeah, it's me coming through another person's mouth and looks, like be your own instructor, teach them something different. Like, yeah, that's sort of how I've sort of gone with all my guys, and it seems to be working quite well.
Like it. Hey, Lance, how about the second part of that question for you? So what things are you looking for someone who's going to help you with your classes? So maybe in terms of leadership team and then in terms of paid instructor.
Yeah, we have our 5 core values, so we look for those. So leadership's number 1, so they're showing initiative. Are they actually like friendly? So it's probably similar to yours, Tom. So, are they approachable? Are they having fun? Like we don't want to have someone on staff who's not enjoying their job. Next one is reliable. We need them showing up on time.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. And then the last one's being adaptable because things are going to change quick. Like we always say, you got the plan A, have B, C, D, and E ready to go. Ready to go. So if they can hit those 5 things, and then I guess I'm pretty systematic. I also have another filter. So we took this from EOS, Gino Hickman. So do they get the job? So to actually get what it's about, like they understand this is a coaching role. Like you're not checking out stuff at Aldi. You got to be smiling, you got to be energetic. So they get it. Do they want it? Like they actually want to work? Like sometimes some of these kids, they might already be getting pocket money from mum and dad. They got the family trust fund. So might not really need it, which is fair. I can, I can appreciate it. And then do they have the capacity? So can they actually do the job? Like, do they have the energy? Do they have that big voice? Do they have the good posture?
Do they have the time to do it? Are they
Do they have the
studying
time?
too much?
Yeah. Sometimes, if he's doing private school, he maybe going St. Kevin's, the earliest he can get in is a 5. Or maybe he's at St. Michael's and he's playing, he's doing rowing, after school sports, he's got the holiday camps, the skiing holiday camps. Can't get in.
Yeah.
So, so essentially we've got, 5 values and then there's 3 extras. We've got 8 things we're looking for. And if they tick all those boxes, bang, they're good to go. Then we put them through the job interview.
That's good. I like that.
We're pretty, because me and Ken, we're very lazy. So we like to be very systematic. The less thinking we can do, the better.
That's not a bad thing.
If I have to think too much, I'll try and write a system so I don't have to think about it.
I like that. I'll use the handball syndrome. I'll just handball it onto somebody else. You know what I mean?
That's Kenny. Kenny handballs it to me.
I've got a guy called Lorenzo. Now I can just handball to him. Yeah, Lorenzo, have that.
Bang. How's that? How's he going anyway? Just quietly.
He is doing great, mate. He's doing great. His classes he is a coach. He's definitely the coach. You know what I mean? Like,
so he's in there every day?
Yeah, every day he's there. He's brought karate to our gym. He's lifted the kickboxing right back up to where it should be. He's still dibbling with his. He's got a couple of injuries, maybe his grappling still going through the roof.
Because I haven't seen him on a Thursday for a while.
Yeah, he tore his bicep, so he's Yeah, he's been out for a while, but he hasn't stopped his training. He hasn't stopped his teaching, hasn't stopped running the gym. And where I lack in the IT department, he thrives in it. Do you know what I mean? Where I thrive in putting the bins out on a Wednesday night, where he forgets that, I got that. I got that. You know what I mean?
You guys are like a married couple already.
Yeah, and we're good mates, and that makes a big difference too. We've been mates since I first met him back in the early days when he first came to the AT, and he's always had time for me. He's always, yeah, if I ring him up or I bump into him and say, "Hey, man, I'm having," he's just got time, and next thing you know, there's emails, text messages. He's very, very, very thorough. You know what I mean? And never a hair out of place. His hair is perfect. You know what I
He's
mean?
sharp, good looking bloke.
Sharp looking, good bloke. Yeah, no, it's probably the best thing I ever did. You know what I mean? Especially at my age. You know what I mean? Like people say, you're on the out. I'm not on the out. I'm still sitting on the fence. Like I want to be able to do this to the day I can't do it. Do you know what I mean? I still reckon I could roll share in onto the mats if I'm in a wheelchair one day and still be able to roll and do all that sort of stuff. So yeah, best thing I've ever done. You know what I mean? It's good to have someone there supporting you and got your back.
It's a good perspective because a lot of coaches, they'll start in their, early 20s, but they
Yeah.
don't realize like, this thing, you're going in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. So it's good to, I guess, have a bit of progression
Yeah.
and things will change.
And with my injuries, it's restricted my striking. You know what I mean? With my ability to do the striking styles. Not that I can't do it, but I'm a big believer if you can't do it properly, you shouldn't be teaching it. You know what I mean? Where he's still very capable of doing it. But also the wear and tear on the body. You know what I mean? I had to take that step back from, if I want to do it for a longer period of time, I need to step back a bit more. You know what I mean? Instead of going so kamikaze every day, I've got to drop it back a bit and only do it a couple of days a week. You know what I mean? But still
Push
be
back the
able
knee
to.
replacement to what, 10, 20 years?
Well, that's what they're saying. Yeah, my surgeon said to me, "You got 15 minutes, 15 months, or 15 years. You pick which one you want." You know what I mean? So, and he was blunt. He was blunt as your gastro. Ken, he was blunt as that, mate. Like he was like, "You keep going, you're going to have gastro of the knees tomorrow." You know? You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm out of there. I'm not.
He
I'm
gave you
not
some
doing this.
gastro stop for your knees, yeah?
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? So. And we all know, like we're part of a big family. You know what I mean? And that big family it supports you. Even if I wasn't capable of doing this, I know for a fact I can speak to you guys at comps, and if I wasn't actively doing grappling or anything like that, I can still walk up to you and say, "How you going?" and "How's the gym?" And yeah, it's a different culture what we do, and and what you guys are doing here with your show, it's great. You know what I mean? That's why I love jumping on these sort of things, because if we can give back anything today to help a coach or help a gym improve and make Melbourne the strength martial art capital of Australia, like I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Boom, love it. Now I've definitely learned a lot having a chat.
Mm.
It's good to see after so many years you're still enthusiastic.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
that's awesome. You might be more coming through the camera. You're more energetic than Ken Douglas here, the king of gastro stop.
Yeah.
It's like your
I've got
skin's
about
glowing.
3
Ken's
gastro
like getting
stop
darker and
listing, mate.
darker.
Yeah. I've got, yeah. Nah,
Mate, Ken, you look older than Tonks.
Mate, all that gastro stop, it sits in your gut.
mate, I clean shaved, did the hair, deodorant. I did the whole lot today for you boys.
Mate, you got to
Got to
lift your game, Ken.
look good, feel good, smell good, mate. Like you're not that. You're in a bad area at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, but
Boom.
no probs.
Awesome. So awesome chat. Thanks for coming in, Tonks.
No
I'll see
problem.
you later today. We'll have a good roll. We'll go
Yep.
easy on the knee bars. And
Yeah,
everyone,
man.
if you enjoyed that, let us know. Check us out. So we've got the YouTube New School Sensei. We've got the Instagram New School Sensei. And we'll see you on the next one. Oos.
Thanks, guys.